Much better. All right, so I'm going to switch over officially and introduce all of these amazing panelists because they are so awesome, and I'm so excited for this. And I really want you guys to know that this is an honor. These are amazing streamers who have been on this platform for a very, very long time. I am so honored that they're going to be spending the time here today because they could be anywhere else on Twitch. They could be doing their own lives, and they decided to spend 2 hours on my channel for some obligatory reason to talk about all of these things and just have a really good time and have a really good discussion. You guys are, I haven't switched scenes yet because I wanted to give a little bit of an introduction. So let me switch over to our lovely scenes and make sure I actually grabbed the correct one as I switch over. Oh, Ashes is green for some, hold on.
Oh no.
There, wait.
Oh,
Wait,
that's
there
attractive.
there we go. I can only prepare so much, okay? There we go. Finally, we have everybody here. Thank you guys so much for coming in. So again, we have an amazing streamers where we are going to be discussing today some fantastic, wait, they're paused? Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm paused scratching my nose. Good job.
There we go. Now
I've got,
everybody's fine. And now
Some
Ash is
resting
paused.
face there.
Okay, we're good. We're good. We've got it. We got it going. Why is Ash paused now?
Technical difficulties.
We need one of those let's all go to the movies screens, but it's technical difficulties instead.
Let's all
And mine
go
is
to the.
frozen.
Okay, there we go. Everybody's cameras are moving. We are good. We are set to go. Oh, camera chasing. Let's go.
Camera's moving. Oh no.
Curly didn't do anything to me. It's technology.
I swear I didn't do anything to anybody. So I'm going to take a few minutes to just, we're going to have everybody go around and talk about themselves for a little bit as well. But I wanted to say we've got Ash, Cypher, Thorlar, Thormingander, and Ultrasaurus all here taking some time to really discuss topics that we don't really talk about on Twitch. Things generally like behind the scenes struggles, the balancing IRL and URL with your mental health capacities, and a bunch of other things that I've really spent a lot of time like developing questions and really talking about these things. And all of these streamers have been on the platform since I think at least 2019. So they've been on this platform for a very, very long time. They have a lot of really, really great insights, and I think this is going to be an epic and wonderful panel. And I'm so excited because these 5 could literally run this panel without me saying anything, and I could just literally sit back here and drink coffee and not say anything, and then it'd be great. Because we almost did that yesterday during our tech talk. So I want to take a moment to everybody. I want you to all go around, and I'm going to start with Ash, and we'll go alphabetical this way. And I would love you to introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, tell you about what you stream and how you started streaming. So Ash. Which is over here.
Sure. Hello. Welcome. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Ash Said Hi, and I love playing retro games. I mostly play retro games or indie games with a retro vibe, and I have been broadcasting since March of 2019, and I started just like casually. I didn't know what I wanted to broadcast, but I had a rather large backlog, and then I said to myself, why don't I get into that backlog? And then that's how I got into retro broadcasting. And then I connected with a lot of people in the retro community, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And I became a partner in November of 2020, and then a Twitch ambassador in March of 2021. And it has positively influenced my life in many major ways. So I am happy to be here sharing everything that I have learned through my career with you today. And Bobby's here too, by the way.
And your camera froze again.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, we got it going again. Okay, Cypher, why don't we take some time? Thank you, Ash, for that. That was beautiful. Amazing. Cypher, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Cypher Tier, Tanya DePass, and I've been streaming since November 2014 because of Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm a big Dragon Age BioWare nerd. I do variety, everything from crafting to a lot of RPGs. Baldur's Gate 3 was my life for a while. And my day job is actually as a game developer, so I do a lot of things. I'm the board chair for Take This. do a lot of TTRPG stuff. I don't sleep a lot, basically. And, I talked about a lot of things in my previous life. I was a part time creator, a lot of DEI consulting, other things, been in the games industry for quite a while, but full time at a studio since last May.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cypher. Cypher's amazing. Please go check all of these streamers. We are also shouting out all of these streamers so you guys can see their socials. Please go give them a follow or check out their socials as well to give them some love. Thorlar, would you like to go next?
No.
Okay. Thormangander.
Well,
Which Thor? Rock, paper, scissors on the Thor. No, Thorlar, go.
I choose hammers. I choose hammers.
Only 2?
Hey, I got a hammer flask in the back, and I got several hammers out there. Okay, I
better.
just have 2 hands. I just have 2 hands.
That makes sense. I apologize. I forget sometimes. I have 4. So.
You know that the ball's in your court.
So, wait, hold on, real quickly. And I know that this is completely out of the scope of everything. Does that make you not an octopus anymore? Doesn't that make you a quadpus?
Now, actually, I had 8 tentacles and lost 4. It's kind of like you would stop calling a human because it loses a leg.
Touche. Anyway.
Yeah.
Thorlar, would you like to introduce yourself?
No.
Okay.
Anyway. I am, as you heard, an octopus. I have 4 tentacles. I'm a tuber. So that happened a little while ago. I started streaming because a tooth exploded in my mouth. And I couldn't afford the dentist bills. I wanted a distraction from that and started streaming. So first week I just got donations to cover that and so much more. So I decided I owed something to the people who were supporting me and decided to stream for 3 months. But people kept being supportive and the ball kept rolling. I was partner within 2.5 months. So kind of just rolled into streaming, and then it's been back and forth and between a lot of games. So ultimately I've landed on Variety.
Awesome. I didn't know that it took you 2.5 months. I'm like a little bit shocked by that.
I think we were both pulling faces at
The
that.
Twitch partner boss at the time, Anile, actually just came by my stream one day and said like, hey, so your name came up at the office. Long story short, do you want to be partner? So yeah, I was a little bit shocked too.
Oh my. Okay.
I speed ran the whole thing. I didn't know what to do.
Thormangander, would you like to go next?
Wow, 2.5 months. That is a new speed running record right there.
Oh my god.
But hello there, everybody. My name is Thormangander. I've also been streaming since 2019. I started in March of 2019, and for a while I was just doing it as variety retro content. But as the pandemic hit, I started to do it more full time, and my claim to fame, I guess, is that I play games with alternative, absurd controllers like steering wheels, Donkey Kong bongos, DDR pads, and also lots of other alternative controls for a wide variety of games. But my community focuses a lot on LGBTQIA, mental health awareness, and BIPOC, just to name a few. But we're an all-inclusive community who really focuses on talking about accessibility and making games playable for all in a way that's also fun and kind of absurd. And yeah, we just love chatting. Can you tell?
No. Thank you, Thor. By the way, I know we have 2 Thors, which is
You're
going to be
welcome.
very confusing. I'm going to refer to Thorlar as Thorlar, and then Thormangander as Thor. Just an FYI. So if you hear that,
we can do
just so you
rock,
know.
paper, scissors about Thor 1 and Thor 2.
What is this, DC Comics?
Yeah.
Whoa, did everybody's stuff pause?
No.
On my stream, it looks like everybody paused.
That is a face I'm making. Oh my god. Somebody screen cap that for me, please.
Oh my god, why is this doing this?
I got you.
Oh man. Okay. Well, while they are refreshing, and it's going absolute. Oh my god, going absolutely crazy. Why is Stream Together doing this right now?
Thanks, Twitch.
Come on, it, I don't get it.
Maybe because you titled this as "Shh, don't tell Twitch."
I mean, I don't feel like that should be the reason why everybody's stream thing is freezing or going off.
I wonder if they usually
Whoa.
don't have this many people in Stream Together, so it's new territory.
Can
Wait.
I ask you a question? Do you have a browser of your stream open currently that you are looking at, or a feed running any place? Because I've found that generally it likes to hijack the resources, and so I'd recommend if you do have a stream or anything like that playing, turn that off and keep the Stream Together tab open as a way of monitoring the chat. See if that works.
Okay, I have the Stream Together thing open, and then I also have my OBS open, but nothing else. But I closed a bunch of
Okay.
other things, so maybe that'll help.
That should
Okay.
work.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I closed a bunch of other tasks and stuff like that, so thanks, Stream Together. Okay, sorry for that. Hopefully we won't have any more of those kind of interruptions. And people aren't paused again. God, I'm so nervous about people being paused again. So okay. And then we have Ultrasaurus. Ultra, can you take a moment to introduce yourself to everybody?
My name is Ultrasaurus. I am a half Chinese Canadian streamer. We talk a lot about simulation games and science and biology, and also dinosaurs as well. I do have a Bachelor of Science in Biology, where I primarily focused on the ethics and welfare of animals, the intensification of agriculture, as well as ocean conservation and sustainability and aquaculture, just a wide spread of things. We also talk about all sorts of fun topics about animals. I started streaming because I was already playing video games, and my then boyfriend, now husband, was watching a Twitch stream, and I'm like, what are you doing? I have a computer right here. Why don't you just watch me? And I just decided to stream for fun, and the stream grew and grew, and we eventually found simulation games, which is basically games that represent things in real life, like driving, flying planes, driving trains, and that's kind of where the channel has gone from. So we primarily do simulation, strategy, and survival games.
Yeah, I just realized that my eye tracker was floating, so I just turned it off. Ultra, thank you so much. Ultra has also made seen again, guys. We are shouting out all of these people, so please give them some love, give them a chance. Go check out their streams, go check out their socials. They're all fantastic people, and their streams are always so much fun every time I hang out in them. Okay, so let's get into our actual questions now. We kind of talked about everybody here has started their streams in very different paths, very different ways. And going forward, I think a lot of people talk about full-time streaming and the considerations of full-time streaming. And there's a lot of risks going into full-time streaming. So I know some people on this panel are not full-time streamers, myself included. Cypher's not one. Ultra is currently working towards becoming one. But then we also have the other side of our panel that are full-time streamers. So I would love each one of you to kind of go through, talk about what event or reason made you go full-time or decide to not go full-time? And what kind of risks did you have to consider doing that? So Cypher, why don't I start with you so we kind of like can change up who starts?
For me, I never was a full-time streamer because I sat down and did the math, and I would need at least 1,500 to 2,000 subs consistently to pay all my bills for Twitch. And I've never had those kind of sub numbers except for 1 year, 1 month, where everyone remembered that Black people exist on Twitch, and I've never seen those numbers again. So yeah, me ever being able to pay all my bills off Twitch was never an option. But I luckily made enough doing consulting, doing writing, and other things where Twitch was a good part of my income, but it was never the, oh no, if I don't have enough subs, I can't pay my bills or pay my rent. And I didn't want to ever be in that position because I had worked for myself for 10 years and streaming was part of that. And then as we've all seen the creator economy kind of slowly taking a dive as people have gone back in the world, when the opportunity for a full-time game dev job came up and I got the offer, I took it because right now I can't even pay my rent off what I make off Twitch, and that's even still streaming in the morning before I start work.
Yeah.
So full-time creator economy was never it for me.
And it is, I think finance becomes a really big portion of it. But you know what? Like, let's actually go over. I want to actually talk with Ash now, who is a full-time creator and a little bit different. I know we're changing up the pace of it a little bit, but Ash, can you talk about like your decision to go full-time?
So it's funny because whenever people ask me this question, I always, the way that I answer it is purposeful. I never say outright, I am a full time streamer because I'm like, yeah, to me, that means I got to work 40 hours. Granted, I'm probably working more than 40 hours, but how I look at it is I'm an entrepreneur with a business. And exactly to Cypher's point, for me to be able to like really think in my head like this is fully just streaming full time, I would have to have a significant amount of subscriptions. But the way that I supplement my income is through sponsorships and appearances and many other things to kind of like broaden the scope of what I do. So I'm not only going live, I'm also performing and doing other things. And working on my other talents to kind of build like a little bit of an empire around Ash Said Hi as a business.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I had to grow everything I do to be profitable,
Hmm.
which has been it's all to me, I feel like I'm all very fortunate and things could change very quickly, if especially if you're not careful. So I'm very mindful of, all of the opportunities that I'm taking in and all the outreach that I'm doing. I
Hmm.
think that's one thing that's extremely important to continue to have opportunities is to never stay still with what you're doing, like constantly reaching out to brands, constantly reaching out to shows, constantly reaching out to people who source talent for various reasons and figuring out how I can grow and stretch my skills. And one thing that I want to start doing for myself is writing more. Cypher is a very big inspiration for me, and I kind of like would like to, you know, do something similar. So I'm always looking for ways to grow my skills, grow my talents. So that way we're always making money, you know?
No, totally understand. And it's one of those things where I think it's the money side of it. And I know I've had discussions with Thorlar about this before. And Thorlar, I love hearing your opinion about all of this and kind of like doing those things. And I think it's very different from the US side of it because, becoming a full-time content creator, becoming those kind of things, we don't have access to healthcare and those kind of benefits like other things. So it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a lot of different things. But Thorlar, would you like to talk about kind of how your experiences are as a full-time creator?
Yes. I personally always perceived streaming as a hobby, and economy just works out, so to say. So I feel like my perspective isn't very exciting. Maybe it's kind of like if I can full-time stream, I will. If I can't, I won't. So
Mhm.
I'm just putting my resources to like charity and paying my bills, a little bit of the savings, and I don't really do anything beyond that. I go live, I hang out, socialize, make friends. Don't like I don't mean to say it's bad to hunt sponsorships, but I also don't hunt for sponsorships. For some reason, they come to me. So I've just been extremely lucky and blessed.
Yeah. And I think
So
it's
I've
a
just never had
different
to do anything.
experience. It's a very
Yeah,
different
it's a,
experience. Because I
yeah,
know like
and
Ash,
both
I know
are
a lot of people do.
equally normal.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think like both obviously make sense. I just don't know why, quite frankly, I am in this position where I just get to do something I really love and do it full time.
Yeah, no,
So I wish I
totally.
could say more about like anything, but literally
No,
it's like,
and you do
do you
have
want to do
that
this?
different of
Yes,
experience.
no. Yeah.
um,
And I'm
yeah.
still in
Also,
Sweden, which, like you said, it comes without the need to consider like health care and stuff like that because it's just built into society.
yeah, it is built into society, and I think that's a struggle for a lot of people. And I would love to, after we kind of hear the experiences, I would love to hear like how you guys have also found getting those sponsorships. If you have any recommendations for putting yourself out there for those things, but Ultra, as somebody, I'm jumping around a little bit. Ultra, as somebody who is in the process of becoming a full-time streamer, can you talk about your experiences with that and why you want to become one versus, or like, and kind of, I guess, events that have led you to doing that. And risks that
Absolutely.
you involved.
This whole balance act with trying to figure out if I can go full time or not has been the bane of my existence for the past few months. And as Ash said, things can change so quickly on Twitch. That's probably the scariest thing about Twitch is it's not consistent. It's not your 8 to 5 job where you get paid this much per the number of hours you work. Some weeks are like fantastic. Other weeks you're like, wow, this is kind of scary. People ask me, hey, like, how much do you make from streaming? I'm like, don't know. I could not put a number on it for you because it's just so all over the place. And yeah, a big part of it too is it doesn't just come from Twitch. It comes from these opportunities and sponsorships that come and approach you too. And so you could have some really fantastic months and some really quiet, slower months. But my biggest struggle, and I feel kind of boomer saying this, but I am in Canada. We do have some good healthcare, but if I quit my job, I lose a lot of benefits, and I no longer have a job that puts money into my pension plan. So thinking about senior citizen Ultrasaurus, I really need to make sure that if Twitch is something that I can go into full stop, that I'm not going to be screwed later on in life. But the biggest allure to doing this full time is, for those of you that don't know, I work on a farm, which is super fantastic, and there's lots of baby animals, and it's cute. But during the dead of winter or the middle of summer, I would really love to just be a streamer in my home in the AC or the heat.
I can't imagine why at all. Can't imagine at all. No, and that makes sense. And kind of emulating, I feel like there is a big, you can't just relate all of your income on Twitch alone. There is so much more that needs to come out of this. But, and Thorminganer, I would love to hear yourself. I know that you do other things as well outside of Twitch.
Well, so Twitch is actually my full-time right now, but I do have a bunch of other skills that I can fall back on. I actually started just, streaming as something to do with my friends and, kind of have a way to chat during my day back in 2019. But outside of that, I was also a teacher and a professional photographer, and I did computer technology classes and digital photography classes, all kinds of things. And when the pandemic hit, it really shifted everything because the stuff that I was doing was now shut down entirely. The gig economy died overnight, and it became really hard to do weddings. It became hard to do portraits, graduations, just all the things that would generally make me money during the year. And so I kind of turned to Twitch as a way to create a space that wasn't isolated for people to join in and talk and not feel so alone. But during that, I realized, like, at the beginning, I was like, this isn't going to be sustainable, but this is something that I can do at the time to kind of help to supplement where I might need a little bit of help with groceries here and there. And over time, I built up a community, and that community was able to support me. And then over time, I started crunching the numbers, and I was like, okay, what realistically, if I wanted to do this, would it take for me to do? And I realized, based on where I was living, that my cost of living is relatively low compared to a lot of other people. And I took a look. What are my taxes? What would this be? Like, I really had to have a deep conversation with myself on what is the tax burden here? What am I going to have to account for? Like car repairs, things like that. And so I got this number that was like, okay, this is the number that this is at right now. This is not a finite number. Because with Twitch, you're making money off of people. This is the best way I've seen it put. You're making money off of people's generosity. They may be generous once, or they may be generous every month, but you cannot rely on that consistently. You have to really be aggressive about going out, reaching out for sponsorships in most cases, and you really have to take a look for where opportunities are. But you should also have a backup plan. And one of the things that I have in my back lot is I do professional photography. So if I really want to, I can go out there and say, hey, I can do this wedding to cover my rent for this month. I can do these portraits. Oh, I can travel outside of state lines. But the thing is, I tell people, because I had a lot of people come to me, it's like, you can do Twitch. You can do Twitch full time, but have a realistic conversation with yourself, not a hopeful one. Really sit down, take the time to chart out those numbers and see what does it take. And also, if everything goes wrong, which sometimes it inevitably does, what would you need to be safe? because
Mhm.
Twitch, as it is, if you're just doing the bare minimum, is not sustainable. Even when you're doing the most, it's not sustainable. And I think that's a conversation a lot of people don't want to have. And a lot of people don't realize the amount of work. Like Ash said, a lot of the time, we're doing work well in excess of 40 hours. We're not just content creators. We really are entrepreneurs. You're having to fulfill the role of manager, having to fulfill
Mhm.
the role of content creation, scripting, video editing, reaching out for events, cold emails, and more. And I tell people, like, if you're going to do this, you need to be realistic. And it is okay to realize, hey, this isn't something I can do now, but maybe later on down the road, this is something I can pick up.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, yeah. Big note in my chat. I will say, just to note everybody's pronouns, real quickly, because I want to highlight the fact that not everybody here is the pronoun that you would just look and say that's their pronoun, and I think it's good to acknowledge that. I am she, her. Ash.
I am she, her as well.
Cypher.
She, her.
Thorlar.
He, him, octopus. Why are
Thor.
you laughing at my pronouns? Hello?
Because you added the octopus at the end. Never change. Thor
my pronouns are they, them.
and Ultra.
She, her.
Thank you. Thank you so much for noting that, Ash. I appreciate that. Also, I do want to say, agree with all of these people. And clearly, the biggest point here is, I would like to say is that at the end of the day, streaming is not just streaming. Creating content is not just creating content. It's connecting with people and doing all of this extra work. We spend so much time off Twitch as well. And I mean, if you guys would like to go around and talk about how much time you actually are streaming versus your background, I would love to hear that from each one of you. Like, how much time do you actually spend streaming versus how much time do you actually spend in the background? Because that is, I can say for myself, I stream 14 hours a week. I spend another 14, 15, 20 hours, and I'm part-time streamer doing other things in the background.
Oh,
Ash is
God.
literally counting on her hand, like actually trying to count it all out.
I'm going to my dashboard right now. I don't even know.
Like, I'm
What
thinking
I
about
can
like,
say-
oh, go
I
on.
would say like actually on camera streaming is usually about 18 to 20 hours a week. So so like 80
Carrying
hours a
the two.
month. Yeah.
Yeah, that
And
sounds
that's like but
that's for your just your
yeah,
streaming. That's
it's
not
like
even your
actual
background
streaming,
stuff.
but like right, no, background stuff is like literally like then it turns into like 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Probably 50 hours a week. Yeah.
Not including that's just your background stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I
Well,
was
no,
gonna
no, no, that's with streaming. I think with streaming, because I definitely make sure to take breaks and take time away and go like for a walk or go do something fun for the day. Otherwise, if I didn't figure out time for myself or for Bobby or like doing things that I love, like
Mhm.
I would not have the energy to be my best self on camera.
Yeah. How much do you guys Ultra how long do you take typically?
So I just did some rough math here because I'm all over the place, but I stream roughly 30 hours a week. And then I also work at the farm 20 hours a week. And then I probably am doing background stuff for another 20 hours. How many hours are there in a week? And I think I do background stuff another 20 hours a week. So it's just constantly go, go, go.
There's 160 hours in a week. Oh. Thor, your camera is off for some
Oh.
reason. Hold on. I'm refreshing it. Don't worry. You're good on my side. It's just there we go. Okay, we're good. Okay. Everybody's
that
good.
can only be one.
I know.
This is
Cypher,
what
how
should
long
have
do you
thought of
take?
when you invited two Thors?
I know.
If I stream 2 to 4 days before work and then sometimes on the weekends, so anywhere from 12 to 20 hours streaming. I actually don't turn my camera on. I'm very much an off-camera streamer for
Mhm.
various reasons. Then a full-time game dev job, which is like, 7 hours a day for 5 days a week. And background stuff, so I'm the lazy streamer. At most, I may put together a stream schedule, but that's still 8 to 12 hours outside of streaming.
Mhm.
But there's also just all the admin stuff, uploading your videos, doing little edits, stuff like that. So streaming still gets anywhere from 20 to 25, 30 hours a week besides a day job and travel and other stuff.
Oh my god. Thor, how much do you spend? I know you spend a lot because I've seen your scenes.
Wow, way to call me out. No, honestly, I mean, I was thinking about it. Like, I'd say emails, I probably devote at least 5 to 8 hours on a week easily. Streaming is around 36 hours. Setting up OBS, like I do a lot of OBS tech. I'd say I'm probably a power user for OBS. Just making new alerts, video editing, that probably adds on like another 10 hours. Oh man, you're making me think about this. It's hurting my brain.
The math is
then-
hurting your brain. So a lot is what I'm getting at. And
Probably
Thorlar,
like
'cause-
60 to 70 hours, probably.
Thorlar, how about you? How long do you take? Basically, all the sleeping time is not. There's no sleeping.
I just speedrun it in 2 hours per week. No, but I spend on average about 6.5 hours per day, and I stream daily. So I would say about 45-ish hours per week streaming. But it's like I've always said, like, you probably will spend on average as a content creator between 12 to 14 hours on streaming, and we're thinking then also like connecting with the community, managing Discord, socializing with other content creators that you just want to keep up with, because that, even if you're doing it for fun, friendship, and socializing, still becomes part of the content creator thing that you didn't do before content
Yeah.
creation. So realistically, I'd say with that calculation, I spend somewhere between 70 to 80 hours per week just with like content creation related aspects, and
Yeah.
like sponsorships, emails, other content creators, this panel, stuff like that.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to do all these things. Totally agree. And honestly, it kind of like leads into our next question, which, with having to do all of this stuff on top of it, and thinking about all these things about, we have to grow, we have to go to the next page, we have to go to the next level that we want to do, and we're doing all this time behind the scenes, streaming, to do all these things. You guys have all been on this platform for quite some time. And I think when we first start streaming, our way of learning how to grow is very different. And we've learned a lot of lessons from what we thought was a way to grow versus what is not a way to grow. Cypher had a really good interaction with one of the ways of not growing this morning, about the whole follow for follow mentality and chasing the next new exciting thing, trying to be on Twitch 24/7, So when you think back to when you first started streaming, what did you think were ways that there were to grow versus where do you learn now is actually a good way to grow on Twitch?
Can I start this one?
You can definitely start this one, Thor. I was actually going to have you start it, so
Perfect. See, there we go. Oh, already ready.
Ash looked like, oh God, when I said that question.
So there were two like really, really big mistakes that I think I made when I started. That was like, oh, this is a way to grow, and also just a way to like find out what I want to do. Was one, trying to be everywhere all at once, like trying to be in all the channels, taking the time to even on my like free time, I would just try and be somewhere, and it's like, no, you need to step away. You really need to take a break. I tell people, don't try and be everywhere. Really focus your time like a scalpel. If you want to be somewhere, be there. Take in the vibes, take in the environment, really get to know the people who are on the platform with you. Don't try and do the whole quantity over quality thing, because it won't work. Spend your time and enjoy it so that you can grow natural relationships, because otherwise people are going to notice that. They're going to notice just, oh, you're just popping in and then that's it, and you're trying to force interaction. Never works. The other thing I also made the mistake of is I didn't understand a lot about self promo channels in people's discords when I started. Like, God, this is making me cringe really bad.
Oh God.
But like when I started, people are like, "Oh yeah, we have this channel." I was like, "Okay, well I'll just post." And so I used to have it so that way I could just go down the list and post that I was live. And then one day I did it, and someone was like, "Don't do that." And I was like, "Oh," and I started looking into it, and I was like, "Oh my God, I feel like such a jerk." And I still look back on that moment. It's like self promo channels can be a great way to post about events and other things. But if you're only going into communities to post in that promo channel, the people that are in that channel will see that and it will reflect negatively upon you. And it also just makes it look like you're not there for the right reasons. And whether that's to be a part of the community or to enjoy it or to spread knowledge and information, it's going to seem like you're there simply to promote only yourself. And nobody likes that.
Yeah, we've
Nobody
all
likes
seen it.
that.
We've all
I
seen
want to
it.
add to that also because that's such a good thing. I'm glad you brought it up. When someone tells you that that's a lot of time sink for no gain and it will be more likely to be a negative reflection, the answer to that shouldn't be I don't have time to socialize elsewhere, because if you take time away from that, you now do have the time. So don't make excuses when someone tells you that's that way just isn't the way that it works in content creation. It's never did. It's
And
okay to post no strings like that, but yeah.
and
Yeah.
just to add on to that real quick, like my last point was going to be um yeah, like you'll find that there's a lot of stuff that, you trying to be everywhere and you trying to just get in everywhere you can. Stepping away actually does give you the ability to utilize your time more effectively, like a scalpel, like I was saying before. And you'll find that once you start utilizing it like that, your workflow will work better. For instance, I've managed to cut down my pre-start time for stream by like 30 minutes. So now it only takes me 30 minutes to get ready. It used to take me 2 hours because I had so much anxiety and nervousness in trying to be everywhere. And by cutting all that out, I was able to thin that down to 30 minutes. Now I can just focus and take a walk and go to the store all before stream without worrying about, oh, is stream going to be okay?
Yeah, that's really, really, really real. So, what do you recommend now?
Like, what? How do you mean? Like,
How do you grow
just,
now? Like, how do
well,
you from
now,
those mistakes?
so from those mistakes, one, I don't use self promo channels at all. Like I rely on my content to speak for itself. I take my time to put out there on my platform. I also take the time to actually just, go in and naturally chat with people. Like I'm not trying to force myself in and become the center of conversation. I want to be in your stream because I want to be there. And sometimes people are like, "Oh, hey, let me stop in. I always see you here. I'd love to stop on by and see what you do." And then that's how you start meeting new people. They notice that you're around. They want to take an interest because you've taken a little bit of interest in their time. And I'm not saying that every person will do this, but there are some people who become core members of your community because you take the time to stop by and say, "Hey, this is that thing we talked about last week. How's that going this week?" You start creating personal connections in ways that people will remember and they will want to return that in
Yeah.
some cases.
Agreed. Agreed. Can we actually? I would love to go to Thorlar now because
Yeah.
you started talking. I would love to hear more from you about the like kind of expanding on what you were talking about and leading off of what Thormengander was talking about.
Yeah, like first and foremost, the whole thing with growing in the beginning and stuff. Since I, as you heard, like we accidentally got partnered within 2.5 months. My Yuri was kind of like catching up versus like keeping up with things. So I feel like I'm pretty bad at giving any thoughts about that particular part. But I will say that when I initially began, I do agree with the notion that you want to try and like people would come in and be like, yeah, this is happening there and there. So you wanted to kind of be there in all the moments. But realistically, there's like thousands of moments that are extra noteworthy every single day. And like, you can't actually realistically be there. So I do agree. Like, the one common mistake I feel is probably you're gonna stretch yourself thin, not because of self promo necessarily and growth, but because of excitement and participation. So I
FOMO.
think it was really, yeah, I think it's really well said that you need to try to like scalpel it and focus where you feel that you get most relaxation, enrichment, inspiration, friendship, and all those vibes, because those vibes is gonna infuse your content with that. Because if I go and watch some toxic streamers, what's gonna happen to my content? Am I gonna be angry? Am I gonna be upset? Am I gonna talk about those? Like, did you hear what happened? It's gonna reflect on you. So, whoops, sorry if you heard that. Nothing wrong. It's fine. We will.
Well, Thorlar is dropping things on the ground. Why don't we use this as Cypher? Cypher, I'd love to hear your insights as well.
Wait, I wasn't supposed to mention how to grow now?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you did say that with like the whole like being true to yourself thing. I'm so sorry.
Go
Go on, I apologize.
It's okay. It's not like I haven't. Now, my main recommendation with growth is that the sad but realistic answer is like you will not control growth. You cannot make growth happen. You can plant seeds and like give tools, but they won't just be used because you do. So, to me, most realistic approach to growth perspective is that it's better to grow a bond with the people that you find matter to you versus trying to grow a number, because the bond will always surpass in value whatever number will be there.
Agreed. Totally agree. Love it. I need that mug.
No,
I'm so sorry for cutting you off, but thank you so much. That was really, really good. I'm glad we actually got that. So I apologize for cutting you off.
What was that? What I do?
I cut you off. So
Everything.
Curly cut me off. Now Cypher needs to cut Curly off. You need to keep this train
Yes, Cypher,
going.
go on.
I'm such a Midwesterner. I'm not going to cut y'all off. I'll just sit here and go, So it's funny because I started streaming on a lark. I just literally wanted to play Inquisition and share it because I'm a big nerd. I never thought I'd still be streaming 10 years later or even 5 years later. This was strictly, I'm doing it for a lark. It's a hobby. I'm sure I'll get bored with it or I'll hate it. And yet, because I'm an ornery little cuss and people try to get me to quit streaming, I'm still here. But like Thor said, eventually the community grew out of it, and I would show up in other people's streams. Their names I recognize in the chat from like other communities that I'm part of. And the biggest thing is, not to follow for follow, not to come in and go, well, I'm a small streamer, or hey, could we collab? Or come in and go, well, how come you're a partner? Because I've had all of this happen. And we saw it today in Curly's stream before we started the panel, where someone came in and said, well, I'm a small streamer. And I always it makes my soul leave my body, because that mindset will hold you back. And for a while, there were so many people that would put I'm a small streamer in their title, or they would go, small streamer going live, help me grow. And it's like, no one can help you grow but yourself. And people, I think what will help people grow is not chase everything that's new. If a new game comes out, everyone's going to play it that's interested in it. You're a small fish in a humongous pond.
Mhm.
Just because you're playing it does not mean you're going to pull in a bunch of people. Don't look at the 1 or 2% people that get thousands of people just because they go live. You cannot do that, and you should not aspire to that. Aspire to do what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled. And if it's sitting there making dice, if it's painting minis, if it's crocheting, instead of chasing what is popular and what's hot, have a conversation like Thor was talking about, sitting there and thinking about, okay, what can I do to make this work at the top of the pandemic when other venues were cut off? What is it that makes you want to go live? Because some people will get stuck on streaming one game and that's all they ever do, and then they're trapped because they can never leave that game. And then if they ever change, then the core audience who comes just for that game leaves, and so they're kind of stuck. And so, find your niche, find what works for you, and also don't make your content to make other people happy. Because some days I may decide that, I said I was going to play Baldur's Gate, but I just feel like painting a mini today. That's what I'm going to do, because that's what I feel like doing. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that has to make the content. You're the one that has to enjoy it. And people can tell when you're not enjoying what you're doing. Whether or not you're on camera, whether or not you're a VTuber, whether or not you're doing things, because your voice and other things will carry through. And also, Ash brought up sponsorships. Not all money is good money. You can grow through sponsorships and partnerships and affiliates, but don't take it just because you think, well, I've got bills to pay, because trust me, your audience will know whether you truly enjoy and endorse this product or this game or whatever versus, I got to pay my light bill to keep doing what I do.
Yeah.
And, at least for me, and maybe just because I'm old or older, that I have to look at myself in the mirror. I have to sleep at night, and I'm not going to take a sponsorship or, one of the 10 billion, get people to sign up for this game and you may get $5 after 100 people sign up. I can't do that. I won't do that to my community. I won't do that. And also, don't think of your community as numbers or as money bags, because people can tell when you do that. They can tell when all you see is a number when you look at the people who show up versus the people that you want there because they enjoy you and your content. I was trying to be polite and not say it, but since Thor said it, yes, Rain Shadow left. I was trying to be
I'm
polite.
like holding back my laughter seeing that.
But yes, let's call a spade a spade. That's what it is.
Oh my god. Thank you so
I
much
mean,
for
I
that
don't
insight,
wanna lie
Cypher. That was
anyway.
amazing.
I was trying to be polite, but there it is in chat.
Listen, I'll throw him under the bus. Rain Shadow, no.
Oh my
And the Star
god.
Trek game and whatever else.
I get so many of those emails, it's annoying. Ash, can we get some insight from you? I would love that as well.
Of course. I definitely would also like to highlight what Cypher just said about not chasing the new, because literally that's the definition of everything that I do on my channel is like play retro games. So I do that because it allows me to tell a story. And the story that I'm telling is that I'm sharing the best parts of me through my experiences in retro. And I can talk about my experiences of playing games with my mom and playing games with my dad and sharing, you know, insight into who I am as a person through gameplay and through like all of the memories that I share and connecting with people through our mutual love for these games that we grew up with or maybe didn't get to play because we missed out on it for some reason. And I realized that when I was creating the concept for my channel, which is one thing that I think is incredibly important for the longevity of your channel, is creating a concept behind how you wanna tell the stories of, like, what you do during your stream every day. And the story that I wanna tell is, we love the joy of retro and, like, I wanna create a space that feels like the Mister Rogers TV show, but for adults or for, like, people who want a comfortable, relaxing place to hang out, but also talk about video games and feel, like, happy and joy and things like that. So those are the things that are extremely important to me when I, create the experience of my show, but I also wanna touch on because Thor touched on some of the things that they did when they first started, and when I first started, I definitely joined a Facebook group that was like, "How do you grow your Twitch community?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm new. I have no idea what I'm doing. I might as well meet other people that do this." And I didn't like it was kind of like I had no idea, You don't
Mhm.
know what you don't know until someone taps you on the shoulder and is like, "Hey, yo, Ash, that's kinda cringe. Like, what are you
Was that
doing?"
Thermungundr that did
Right?
it?
What's that?
Was it Thermungundr? He's like, yo, Ash, hello.
For real, right? Like, seriously. But, like, I remember one time, when I first started streaming, I was in a friend's chat, like a friend that I had personally also known outside of Twitch, right? Because I was kinda learning some things from them. And I didn't know at the time, but I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go live now in their chat." And afterwards, I learned through, like, social media and through, like, things that I saw people always, like, talking about in the social media space for streamers, like, that's extremely rude, and I learned why very quickly. So I think there's a lot of unsaid rules that you kinda have to learn quickly to, feel like a part of the group Otherwise, you're gonna, create a lot of faux pas or do like a lot of things that people are like, "Hey, yo, that's kind of you, Ash, don't do that." So I also want to talk about some of the things that the other people on the panel talked about, which is impact and the impact that you make when you connect with people. Because I think Thorlar is also right. Like, it's socializing is a huge part of the day-to-day activities that we do, but socializing with a purpose, right? Like Thormangander was saying, it's not like you're just going to be everywhere and do everything that, but you would never have the energy to keep that up, and people are going to see through that, right? So one thing that I really love to do is when I'm attending like places in real spaces like PAX East or TwitchCon or DreamHack or whatever, really when I meet people, showing them like that the person you meet on camera is also the person that you meet in real life. Like, that's me. I'm being me and coming and showing up every day, being my genuine self. And like, somebody was also I was having this conversation the other day where they were like, would you stream even if you didn't have like tons of viewers? And I was like, I stream on TikTok all the time to like 5 people. I don't care. I love the act of streaming. So I do it because it brings me joy. I play retro games because it brings me joy, which is something that everybody else was also talking about. Like, do it because it makes you happy and it brings you joy. And it truly makes me happy to be in this space, stream, but also helping others as well. And I think that's another thing that has helped me in my career is remembering to send the elevator back down. And all of the things that I've learned, helping others who need or haven't learned those lessons yet. Um it's incredibly important to help others and make an impact in this space, because where would I be without the other people around me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Curly, I have a question. Can I add on one more thing?
Please.
Just, I'm gonna say this. This isn't something that I've done, but this is something I see a lot of new people do, and like big mistakes. For new content creators and people who've been on the space maybe a small amount of time, don't gatekeep information. One of the biggest harms that people can do to themselves is like gatekeeping commonly found information. If somebody is
Word.
asking you
Preach.
about
Preach.
something, how to do something, you don't need to hoard
Yeah.
that like Smeagol in the ring, okay? You can share that info and people will appreciate that. And that's another great way to build connections, because then people know, oh, this person helped me with this last time. Maybe this is something I can talk about. And then you can start working together with other people in a collaborative sense of, let me help you advance yourself because I want to see you succeed. So many people are like, there's limited space on this platform and there's only so many sponsorships. That's not true. We can all eat at the table. We can all eat at the table, but do not gatekeep information, because people will see that and they will see you as a closed off person and they'll never tell you that. They
Yep.
won't. Don't gatekeep information. Mouse rushes. The hobbit is trying to take it from my knowledge.
Oh my god.
Just the visual. The visual.
So who of us is Gollum and who is Smeagol? Because obviously 2 Thors, Smeagol and Gollum.
Well, also, we haven't had Ultra answer. Ultra, did you want to add anything, or would you like to provide some insights as well?
Yeah, I just want to say firstly, it's just been so interesting hearing everybody's perspective of like what they thought growth was back then versus now. All of you have said such unique, such important things.
So cringy.
And
It's all
in
things I think a lot of
listening
people
to
have
it-
done.
In listening to it, it's just cool comparing it to my own story and my own perspective and just how different everyone is. Again, I started streaming for fun. I really didn't have any goals. I never ever thought that I would be partnered. That was just not something that I'm playing games, right? That was the focus. But I would say when I first started, growth to me, I just played games that I was interested in, games that I was either good at or were fun. And for me personally, probably because of the games that I chose to stream, that didn't work for me because when you first start off and you are playing in a category like Minecraft or World of Warcraft, and there's thousands of streamers and the top streamers have thousands of viewers, you don't have visibility. You're not going to get growth. If you're lucky, you might, but it's hard. Alternatively, when playing smaller games with smaller communities, it's also really unfortunate, and I experienced this where you only do well as long as the game is doing well. So when the game has a patch, you're doing great, and then viewership goes back down, and it's just so hard being tied to that and feeling like you're stuck in the mud, you're not getting anywhere. And so for me, growth now, and what I would say to other streamers that are looking to grow their streams, is look into what you love, look into what you like, but also look into visibility, right? Again, if you're streaming in Minecraft and you're just starting off, it's really, really hard to find your stream, whereas you're playing something a little bit more niche, more people are going to be able to find your stream and hop in and say hi and get that ball rolling. And something that I didn't really even discover that you guys are all talking about it until I started really growing my stream is making these genuine connections with people and building these relationships. I am super insecure and have mad imposter syndrome, and I was in my little bubble, and it's not that I didn't want to reach out, I just was like, oh my god, there's all these streamers, like no one would be interested in me, like I'm just gonna keep to myself. But like I've met so many amazing streamers who I love and support, who I know support me in return, and it is so, so important for growth to be building these genuine connections with people, not just you can't look at people and go, yep, gonna network with them because they're gonna help me grow. It's like, no, you need to actually build these connections. You need to relate to others, and yeah, that would be my biggest thing is growth comes from making good choices about visibility and really connecting with others.
Yeah, I agree. And I love everybody's points. Everybody had such good insights, and I really hope people are listening to this, because these are things that I feel like a lot of people, I wish that I knew when I first started streaming. And I have way less experience than these wonderful people. So I really hope people are listening to this and taking this advice to heart, because I do think it's really important. But on that growth fact, and because of the fact that we are on front page,
Can you make that noise again?
He did, yes. So there was flying puppies in the background. Thank you, Drew.
Oh, I'm Gollum? Wow.
You're Gollum. Are you done?
The other one. Sorry, this is great.
Oh my god, I can't wait to see the YouTube comment section of this. I will keep that in there. Okay, we're on front page right now. We're very lucky about that. And there's a lot of great use of front page now. And I do think that there's a lot of common misconceptions about front page and equating it to growth. Can you guys provide any recommendations for how to utilize front page? Because, you know what? If you want to talk about some of those fun misconceptions, please do. And guys, if you didn't know, Thor and Ash were both on a panel a couple weeks ago, not that long ago, talking about this exact thing. So we're not going to spend the entire time talking about it, but key notes, key ideas and stuff like that, as we have a lovely puppy in the background. And Cypher, I feel like you kind of want to start. So why don't we start with you?
So I have so many feelings about it, because I've been on the platform long enough where I've seen that kind of ebb and flow. People think, I'm going to get on front page. That means I'm going to get enough people and I'm going to make partner. And what people don't seem to realize is that, especially if you get what's called the hero slot, where you have 10, 20, 30,000 people watching you, those are people that just happen to land on twitch.tv. They're not specifically looking for your channel. They're going to come, they're going to go. 95% of those people are not going to stay. They're not going to follow. You're not going to usually grow off front page, and it's going to screw up your analytics. So you're going to have great analytics for about a month, or however long you get front page slot for, like if it's an affinity month or something. and you actually get front page and you're not on the carousel, which is different. And so many people have this idea that you have to bribe someone, you have to beg for it. And now partners can actually request. You can apply to get front page, but that's new. Before, you had to be part of an activation, you had to be doing something else. And so many people just have such a misconception about front page is your golden ticket to getting partnered, to getting all this other stuff. And it's not. You're going to have more mods, especially if you're a person of color, if you're outwardly queer, if you are, in any way, shape, or form not assumed to be a cis white straight dude. It is going to be quite a bit of work. Your mods are going to put in so much work because, for those who don't know, I made a TTRPG with a very talented group of folks. Part of our arrangement was to have front page for the entire season. And so we blocked more people than followed because we would come in and have people, use slurs and ask what this garbage was on front page. So front page is a very different experience depending on what you look like and if you're on camera. And people just have a misconception of it's a golden meal ticket. It is not. It is a lot of work. Unless you are a cis straight white dude and you are playing a game that everybody wants to play and people stay because they like the screaming and yelling. Because I've seen people scream, yell, throw controllers, break things on front page, barely keeping to what you're supposed to do and grow from it, but most other people do not. So have high hopes but low expectations and understand that depending on who you are, how you present, and what you're doing on front page, because a lot of people still think of Twitch as strictly gaming. They don't want to see TTRPGs if it's not D&D or Critical Role or Dimension 20. They don't want to see things that are not, a dude playing an FPS and screaming and swearing and using gamer words. So keep that in mind if you get a front page opportunity. Look, we're on front page. It's not my channel. I'm behaving.
You're
Otherwise, I'd be
fine.
cussing
You can
people
say
out.
it bluntly. That's what this is for.
Yes, but I know we're not supposed to use a lot of the words I normally would use on front page.
Fair enough.
So-
Yes.
So I'm being a good guest on your stream, Curly.
Thank
I would like
you.
to come back one day.
Well, thank you. Why don't we? Okay, I really want to hear from Ash and Thor a little bit later because they have actually had this great conversation, and so I'm going to leave them for the end. But I would love to hear from. I'm going to move to Ultra, and then I'm going to go over to Thorlar to kind of get a little bit more insight as well. So, Ultra, can you start with giving a little bit more insight into front page and kind of your thoughts?
Do you mind if I actually use you as a positive example about front page? Is that okay?
Sure.
So again, yeah, front page, it's not an end all be all, like you're going to experience growth from it, but what you do get from it is an opportunity to have visibility, which is a way to get growth. And so front page, you need to be really smart about how you use it, whether if you want to use it for growth, fantastic. If you want to use it to send a message or use it for charity, like you can have different goals for front page. But when I woke up this morning and I saw Curly streaming and I saw that she was playing Black Myth Wukong, I was like, oh, that's a great choice. That is fantastic. Because it is such a saturated category right now that unless you have a set number of viewers, you don't show up in the first 3 lines. And so utilizing front page to get you and bump you up there to those higher, like when people click on the category, they see your face. That's how you get growth from front page. And I thought that was super. I mean, it's very on brand too. You also want to be because you it's your genre of gaming too, right? When people come in and get to know you, it's very on brand. It's very you versus if you use front page and you're playing something or doing something completely different from what you normally do, you're not going to get that retention either because people come and they're like, wow, Ultra's playing. I don't play Sea of Thieves, and then they come in and I just play simulation games later, right? There's no connection. There's not going to be that retention. So do what you normally do is what I would say. Be yourself, but it's front page is really just all about how you utilize it.
Thorlar, thank you so much, Ultra, seriously. And thank you for using me, even though I feel very awkward about that.
Thank you for using me. That's a sentence.
Leave me alone. Thorlar, would love your insight as well. I know you and I have talked about this before in the past, about Front Page and your views on Front Page, but I would love to get more insight from you about, your views on Front Page and how you can utilize it.
I actually used to know a person who would put things on Front Page and would regularly ask me, like, "I do want to be on Front Page for this or that," and I had special offers. So I've had quite some experience and been able to experiment with Front Page in the past. This was like a decade ago, though. So basically, I think Ultrasaurus said it well. Like, it's okay, I would say. It's not necessary, but it's okay to pick a game like Black Myth Wukong, and because you're excited and stuff, and now more people have a chance to see like someone else than the usual faces, because it's kind of like TV if you think about it. Like the famous shows, Game of Thrones is there, you have Lost on television, you have Stranger Things, and people recognize that, but you don't really see like the smaller shows like that easily. You kind of usually have to dig for them to find out about them. So in a like a sea of all that, it allows you to actually become one of the main shows for a moment, so people have a chance to see that. At the same time, Front Page can also come with the perspective like, hey, I want to follow a popular streamer, so they come back the next time, and you're not who you seem to be either, because then you have 3,000, now you have 300 viewers. So there are so many factors that count into it too, that ultimately the best recommendation I'd say is ask yourself who you are, what kind of symbolizes your content. Feel free to spice it up a little bit, but it's also like Ultrasaurus said, like, if it's not typically on brand for you and you like spice up a massive event and that's the only time you did it, and then you'll never do events again because, like, sorry, I'm not on Front Page, then people aren't gonna be aware of what they're getting into. So be yourself, do what you like doing, and make the most of a fun situation, because that's a guarantee. That's what you know you can deal with. The growth is just gonna be, I will be honest, I've seen 1,000 people at Front Page and not a single of them grew because of Front Page, but they had fun with it. And there's been like an offshot of one here and one there that has actually gone up from it. I think like Sheriff Eli, when he came to GTA role-playing, he actually got a little bit of a start there, but like, just have fun with it, because growth is not something you can control even with Front Page.
Thank you so much. That was really good. And yeah, no, totally agree with all of that. Okay, so I'm gonna take some time also with Ash and Thor Mangander, who both had a really, really great panel. I watched it. It was absolutely a fantastic panel that talked really deeply about Front Page, and I would love either your insights from those panels and what you guys gained from those as well. So I'm gonna start with Ash.
So I have a lot of feelings about Front Page.
Feel away. Let's
let
hear
me
those
see-
feelings.
Let me see if I can parse them in my head. Okay, so you know what I always think about? Like, if you use TikTok and your video kind of like gets the FYP and then like it hits like millions of views or something, and then now you have all this overflow of follows and people coming to your channel. The way I think about it is, and somebody that I know who inspires me all the time, basically taught me to think about it like this, is like follows from those kind of events are like bookmarks. Like, people are saying, I love this channel. I really love the thing that I have been presented with. So I'm going to bookmark it and come back. Right. So then that's why it's incredibly important for whatever you are doing on the Front Page to be your authentic self. So that way, when people come back, it's not like whiplash where it's like, well, this person was performing and putting on like a different kind of show specifically for Front Page. And when I came back to them, this is not the same experience that I'm getting. So I think it's extremely important to have that consistency. And that's why, having like a concept behind what your channel is and what your brand is really important, so that you can have that consistency in terms of how you're presenting your channel. I do think, though, that when you do have a little bit of extra visibility, to, highlight the things that you really love, do things that you're comfortable with so that way you can perform more naturally. So for example, like I have a front page slot coming up soon and I'm just going to play something that I know and love really well so that way I can kind of like turn my brain off when I'm looking at whatever it is I'm doing on screen and really be able to focus on chat and make people feel welcome or feel like their presence makes an impact. So I think that, when you have those days of extra visibility or you have those opportunities of extra visibility, really showcase the skills that you bring to the table that make you uniquely you. Because then, people feel that. They feel those emotional connections, which is a big reason why a lot of us are on Twitch. We want to connect with people or share like, the love of the things that we all have in common. So yeah, I think it's really, really important to when you're speaking, you know, like it's all about giving to the audience, like what you want them to feel or what you want them to walk away this experience with.
Yeah. No, and honestly, that makes sense. As I do something completely outside of my comfort zone and something I've done for the first time ever.
Right, you're gonna learn from that, and it's gonna
Yeah,
stay with you, and you're gonna get better at it the more you do it. And I
exactly.
think it is really cool to be able to kind of experiment. And I think that's one thing that I'm glad that you said that. I think that that's one thing that I want more broadcasters to do is to kind of experiment with things and not be so scared of like oh, this thing, lowered my viewership or this thing like, negatively impacted me. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try things new and, be friends with the process. And I think that a lot of times if we try something, and then we see that maybe it didn't work, it's like, oh, that was a failure and I should have some kind of negative emotions about myself for doing that. But failure is a part of the process. You got to become friends with it. So,
Hmm.
I would highly encourage people to experiment with the things that they do and learn from it, and then make decisions from there.
Agreed. And I think Quato said it perfectly. Failure isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a learning opportunity. Yeah. I totally agree with you, Ash. That is a fantastic insight. Absolutely. And you're right. People should start streaming and doing things that is shaking it up and doing a little different. Right. Thor, I'd love your insights as well, my friend.
So I'd also just like to piggyback off of something Ash said. Like one of the big things is failure is very much part of the process, but also so is realizing that you're not going to understand every variable as to why things drop off or why things pick up. I have days where I dive back into retro categories where I'll have great viewership, and then the next week it just completely bottoms out. And the truth is, there's people living lives, there's events going on that you're not aware of, there's school, there's all these other things. At the end of the day, you should be focusing on creating content that is fun and exciting for you. And if you
Nom,
are
nom, nom,
able
nom,
to
nom.
show your genuine self through that while you are doing your front page or while you're just doing streaming in general, you're going to find that you're having a lot better time and that you're flowing a lot more naturally in a way that people are going to pick up on. I think one of the big things is people think about front pages. Oh my God, this is my end all be all moment. Like this makes or breaks my stream. And to be honest, front page, it's not that it doesn't mean that much, but it takes on the value of what you give it. If you say this is going to be a great thing where I'm going to be able to showcase something that I genuinely love to do and showcase anyway on this channel, people are going to get excited about this. If
Mhm.
you're like, oh my God, I got to be perfect and I got to really make this the best event of all time, you're going to fall flat on your face and you're going to struggle to have a good energy or vibe for those watching because they can tell that you are stressed about it. I think Ash's way of saying I'm going to get something that I can or I know how to play and that I can kind of turn my brain off for is a great idea that more people should utilize. Ultrasaurus also talked about, you know, um, oh man, see ADHD. Ultrasaurus talked about, running these big events and then people coming back and not seeing that same event and like, oh well, okay, I guess I'm gonna dip. Like you can showcase things you're good at. You can showcase things that you want to do. Maybe you call attention towards a project or maybe a charity stream. Maybe you're like, hey, you want to get ambulances for Ukraine? Boom. there you go. Give an event or something that you want to do a little bit more visibility.
Mhm.
There's chances that that can work to your benefit. But I think a lot of people need to realize, you can't account for everything. Get used to doing stuff that you generally would do and maybe spice it up a little bit here and there. But I just wanted to add that on. But the
Love it.
thing I'd say about front page, one of the big misconceptions I see is that people think that it's going to get them partner. And I want to really squash that right now. A lot of people are like, oh, if I can get this will boost my numbers as partner. They specifically, come here. They specifically say on the thing, on
Is
the
that how you
partner.
grow?
Yes, this is how you grow. Actually, turns out this is it. It's an
Great
OPS
panel,
move
everybody.
action.
Let's go.
I knew you were withholding.
This whole time.
I mean, I am part giant,
Dying, stop.
That joke is for me and Thor and no one else. But okay, so I'll unzoom out in a sec, but listen to me closely. Front page does not impact your numbers towards your partnership. They actually separate those two things. So when you're on front page, you will not be able to count that towards your partnership numbers. But that being said, those partnership numbers can be used in a way that I don't think anyone else here has talked about. Don't just utilize your front page numbers on front page. Utilize them after. I think Cypher might have dipped into this a tiny bit, but when you're done with a stream, go to people you want to work with. Be like, boom, look at these numbers. This is my CCV. Let's negotiate. Give me a higher activation charge than what I would normally have. You can leverage your numbers both on and off of stream to get yourself better activations, to get yourself other content that will allow you to grow and support yourself. And I think people are not aware of this. And I also think that people think that once front page is done, that's it. No, after front page is done, that's when front page really matters, because you can utilize that for a bunch of stuff. And I say that as somebody who this last year had the opportunity to be on the front page for around 6 months or so. But
That's
I will
awesome.
say this, you're not going to have front page is a place for people to see you and for you to get lucky, potentially. Do what you're going to do. Have fun with it, maybe spice it up a little bit, but don't expect all of your success to hinge on this one moment. You need to be creating content before front page, and you need to continue creating content after. And front page should not be your reason for creating that content. You should already be in the process of doing that.
Yep, totally agree. And I think you also touched on a lot of different points about, I think through this whole conversation, I hope people understand front page is not the be all and end all. It's great, and I'm very thankful that we are on it right now. And it's a great opportunity. It's providing people with a lot of different things, and utilizing it in the ways that you can, that they've all talked about, is really important. Because I think that people have this misconception a lot of the times that, and I'm going to reiterate what everybody said, that it's instantaneous growth as soon as you're off of front page. And it's just not the case. It's really not. So moving on to kind of something that you guys have all been touching on a little bit, but I do want to dig a little bit deeper into this. We're going to talk about some Twitch anxieties and some fun things that people have always had whenever they're streaming, because the number of times I've sat there and looked at my game library and said, I have no idea what I'm playing today, or I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about on stream today, is real. So can you guys talk to me about general concerns that you've had? I want to break this apart and talk about it before stream and after stream anxieties. So let's start with before stream anxieties. What kind of pre-stream anxieties have you guys had, and how have you handled those? Who wants to start?
Oh, God.
Sure,
Smeagol.
I'll go ahead and start.
Great.
So, I think the biggest anxiety sometimes comes from just not knowing, like, personally, just not knowing what I'm gonna do sometimes. Like, I mean, I know I'm gonna play a retro game, but sometimes I'm like, it's like more like decision paralysis. It's like, oh, I have all of these games that I want to play. I don't know what I want to play. Or sometimes my community asks me to play stuff, And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had like 50 hours in a day to play like all these game suggestions that they're asking. I think the biggest anxiety comes from wanting to make sure that people are having a good time and having a fun time and that I'm being entertaining in general. Like, I think that's kind of like where I want to make sure that I'm providing for my audience. And like, these people are investing in me with their subscriptions, their bits, their time, watching ads and all that kind of stuff. Like, that means something, right? Like, that means something to me. And I take that really seriously. So I think to me, that's sometimes where anxiety comes from for me. But the process of like streaming in general, like, honestly doesn't bring me a lot of anxiety because I've cultivated the space to feel like I'm in a room with people that I care about or people that I'm friends with or people that, like I'm like colleagues with or just, like this is like my happy place. So I think that's sometimes where I get like the biggest or like just I just want to make sure that I'm providing something of value to the people that I'm watching. So those are the things that are always top of mind. But instead of it being like, "Oh, this is anxiety, I'm scared about it." I'm like, "Oh, this could be anxiety, that means I'm excited about it." So that's kind
Mhm.
of how I flip it into a way that a situation that I can digest instead of allowing it to, you know, deter me from wanting to do what I love.
Yeah. I love that. I love that answer so much. Oh my gosh. I'll say like for myself, and I know this is not about me. But I feel the same thing. I look at the games that I want to play and it's like I have 60 games I want to play right now. What do I play? And I struggle and I look at my library and I'm like, I don't know what to play. I want to play this and this at the same time. I just need 2 computers and 2 monitors while I simultaneously play. Uh, let's move over. Say, actually, I'm gonna go reverse order. Ultra, I'm gonna go on you next.
Oh man. um, so, just as some background info, for the majority of my life, I've dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety. So it's been a big part of my life, and um, sometimes a lot of that spills into streaming and pre-streaming anxiety. And I think there's a fine balance between pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, knowing that you feel not so great, having these anxious thoughts. I don't know who's going to be there in stream. I don't know what I'm going to play. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if I'm going to have the energy to do this today. Or I look like a drowned rat because I just worked a 10-hour shift on the farm and oh my God. But there's some days, I just push through and I tell myself, you know what? You've done this before. You've got this. Usually a few hours into stream because we're here because we love streaming, right? Through playing the game, through chatting with people, through getting love and support from viewers and streamers alike. It usually does feel better and it does help get rid of that anxiety, and it does make it easier for next time to pull from those experiences and those memories going, no, like we're having anxiety now, but it gets better. And then also parsing the, you know what, you're actually not at your best today. You're not feeling well. You're really tired. You're exhausted. You're having this mad anxiety right now, and giving yourself that grace period to sometimes actually, and this is a huge struggle for me, and I'm sure you guys can relate too, but it's okay to sometimes be like, you know what, this is a lot right now. Let's take a break. And I know that for me personally, I have a hard time taking care of myself and making those decisions because I feel like I'm letting myself down and I'm letting the anxiety win, or I'm gonna let down my community. But it's okay to have those feelings. And so I think for me, it's really hard having that balancing act of knowing when to, no, we've got this, pushing through, let's stream, let's see how it goes, versus let's take care of ourselves today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Thor.
What was the question?
Thorlar, no. Talk about your anxieties that you have pre-stream and how you handle them.
Pre-stream? Oh, honestly, weirdly enough, the biggest anxiety I think I get is it's probably making the title I know that sounds so, because like that's the first step. It's really, putting out what what do you want people to see at a glance. So how do you describe your channel, or what kind of vibe you're trying to bring? And I always find that to be such a huge step. Like, I used to have really, and I still get this from time to time. It's still there. I still get imposter syndrome sometimes right before I'm about to start, but it's not as badly. And I think I've figured out ways to cope with that. And
Mhm.
part of that is realizing, like, I'm going to have my core community. I deserve to be in the space that I am. Others deserve to be in the space that they're in because they've cultivated that following and they've taken time to grow it. And at the end of the day, people are going to be there for me. And yes, there will be there people that are going to be there for the game, but I know who my core is. I know who stops by to say hello. And as long as I remember that, that makes me feel very warm and fuzzy inside. And
Mhm.
it helps me get through a lot of that. But creating a title, a way for people to connect without actually ever having been to my channel, and also just the big anxiety I really have is tech issues. Because when I have tech issues, it's like 10 million things are missing in the directory, and I'm sitting like, well, time to shut everything down and never come back. But ultimately, I'd say the big thing is like, I think Ultra really hit on something. Give yourself grace, because like even this week, I have been busier in the last 2 weeks than I have in the last 4 years, just in this week. And it has been a lot. I literally took a day off to say, I'm just not feeling it. And being
Good.
communicative, you don't have to share everything with your community that you're going through at any one time. You can just say, I really am tired. I really need to just step back. I want to sit down. I played Pokemon on Wednesday because I was literally just like, I don't want to stream today. I'm going to take some time off, spend it for myself. And then I was able to come back the next day and do Hollow Knight on the bongos. So it was like, great, I'm recharged. But you need to realize when you're getting burnout, and I think a lot of people get anxiety about the fact that they could even be getting to that point, as well as how much time do you need to recover from that potential pathway. Like, give yourself grace, realize that you don't have to be 100% consistent all the time, and I think that's where a lot of anxiety for a lot of people comes down to is consistency. Yes, it's important, but also know you shouldn't let it rule your life,
Yeah.
because it will be your downfall ultimately if you don't recognize when you're starting to burn out, when you're starting to get depressed, when you're starting to struggle with streaming. It's usually because you're getting ready for that burnout phase.
Yeah. I know we are coming out. We have like about 30 minutes left in our panel. And I still want to hear from everybody about this question. And there's a really great question that was also asked. So I'm going to ask that as well later on. And then we'll leave a little bit more time for extra questions. I had so many more, but like everybody's had such great insight. I don't want to cut anybody off. Thorlar, can we go next with you guys? And then we'll move over to Cypher and Ash.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of good stuff was covered there by throwing money under with like, for example, a lot of people do experience imposter syndrome and like how you cope with that. But I think also is a very common thing is feeling like you owe things to other people. Like, I had someone subscribe, I owe it to them to be live today. I got a donation, I got a follow, I owe something. I think that is something that a lot of people might also have anxiety with. I didn't have anxiety with it, but I felt the pressure when I started streaming, when I figured out streaming, like that I should be there versus I want to be there. And obviously I always wanted to, so it aligned, but it's a problem that is very common in streaming, and I think it's important to find a way and an answer to that. It's all about what you want and what you need and what you can do, because there's always someone going to want something that you don't want. Like, can you play this game you played another time? Can you play this new game that's coming out? And it's just gonna add so much anxiety and pressure to you. And especially since Ultrasar said, like, with depression and anxiety, if you have that recently in your background, or if you currently still have it, that can mess with you a lot, because you are currently in a place where you need to care for yourself, but you start wandering into the other field there. So I feel like those are also very big anxiety factors that you need to deal with fast and
Agreed.
come to the conclusion it's you at the end who matter the most. And what do you want?
Yeah. Cypher, can we hear from you?
My anxiety is usually, why do I keep doing this? It's been almost 10 years. And there are some days where, just recently, I've tried to be good about putting out a schedule and trying to figure out what I'm going to do instead of just, I'm awake, let's see what I feel like doing. And for a few days, I'm like, I know I put out a schedule, I know what I said, but you know what? I just don't feel like going live today. The anxiety for me lately has been tech issues, like Thor said. Last night, even, I was trying to play Dragon Age Inquisition, and OBS was like, nah, nope, I don't think so. So there's also just the anxiety of, for me, and I mean, and I don't know how much you want to get into this, but I've got actually really bad body dysmorphia, and I don't like seeing myself on stream on camera. But then sometimes people will go, why aren't you on camera? Or I'll put on the camera for like maybe an unboxing or something, or maybe I have to, it's a sponsored segment. And then I will turn the camera off as quickly as I can because I just don't like seeing it. But people are like, oh, but we like the camera, we like seeing you. And the lizard brain in the back is like, but why though? But why would you want to see me on camera? Because my own insecurities are there. And I've got some medical stuff going on, and so I've actually had like weight loss, body changes, and that is compiling onto dysmorphia. So I'm even less incentivized to turn on the camera. Like even being here, I'm like, I'm not looking at myself on our call. So there's also just or I'm gonna turn on the stream and nobody will show up. I'm playing a game no one cares about. I care about it, but maybe no one else does. Or I'll have the like hamster wheel in the back of my brain also going, why do you get so many more people showing up for crafting versus playing a game that isn't like brand new, super popular, but you can play it and talk and things like that. And it's just one of those things of the anxiety is, do I keep going? Do I keep going live? Or will anyone even care if I decide not to go live today? Will anyone decide, will anyone care if I change my mind? And so there's always that, why is it I keep doing this? And I constantly have that conversation with myself. And that's the anxiety of, why do I keep streaming? It's been almost 10 years. There's something that's bringing me back every time I go live. But I have to sit there and constantly reconcile with myself. Why do I keep hitting that button? Why do I keep coming back? And, why do I, make a point of going to TwitchCon and PAX and stuff like that? What is it? And for me, that's the anxiety and the constant self-conversation.
Yeah. And honestly, that's a big concept that, I think we could do an entire panel about when it's time to change up your stream or when is it time to move away from streaming. We could spend a lot of time talking about that. And thank you. All of those insights are amazing. I realized that I said I was going to do Ash again, and then I remembered that Ash started the conversation. It was one of those like, oh, brain fart moments. Sorry. So thank you guys. Those were really great insights because I think everybody deals with a lot of anxieties when we first start streaming. And there was a question that came in on words are super hard. Words are super hard. There was this question that came in, and it was one of the questions that I had too that I think we're going to kind of like finish this panel on. And it's actually talking about probably one of the worst things that we hate talking about, our numbers and our analytics. And I want to know, like, number one, how do you stop getting caught up in your analytics? And we are all programmed to look at our numbers. We can all here agree. Twitch is not a competition. Twitch is not a competition. I'm going to say that out loud as high as I can. The collective cringe was definitely there. This is not a competition. If it was a competition, I wouldn't have these wonderful people on this panel with me. This is a community that we are building here, and I think everybody
no
here is
challenge
doing
for you,
it.
huh?
Yeah, seriously, no challenge for me whatsoever. Oh yeah. This is not a competition, but we are susceptible to looking at numbers and being influenced by them and being concerned about them. So what kind of concerns do you guys have, and how do you get over them within your numbers and stop them from influencing your stream, or how do they influence your stream? Who wants to start?
I'll
tough
start this
question.
one off. I'll start this one off. So, honestly, when it comes to numbers, I actually, I've actually disabled most numbers on my stream, including like viewer counts, including other people's viewer counts, and even including like the sub and bits banner, because I don't want to see it when I'm streaming. When I'm streaming, I want to focus on that. However, after the fact, when I'm looking at analytics to figure out where trajectories are, and when I'm looking to reach out to certain sponsors, updating media kits, there are conversations that I have to have for myself. However, the one thing I really have come to realize in this industry is that numbers are a very small part of it. It's more so your plan of action. How do you approach a brand? How do you approach a project manager or somebody and say, this is what I want to do with what you have, and this is my course of action? Because a lot of times it doesn't matter. Now, there are going to be times where it does matter. Are you reaching into the hundreds of numbers that they want to see their community reach out to? But a lot of brands will actually work with creators of all sizes because they have a good plan of action, and they can say, hey, I have this idea to do a stream that focuses on this, and this is how we're going to use it. Are you willing to work with me? This is what I want, and this is how I'm willing to do it, and this is what you'll get out of it, usually through media kits or rate cards, other things like that. But I found that when I went to somebody with a good plan of action, even when my numbers were going back down to their lower thresholds, I found that I was actually getting a lot more success because I came prepared. And they appreciate that confidence, especially when they can do less work on their end. Oh my God, that makes a difference. The other thing I also take a look at too, sometimes I'm doing something way more for me. Like, I'm always doing something for me, but sometimes I'm like, I really want to take a look at this indie project that maybe doesn't have a lot of hype around it. And I know that's not going to be my most popular stuff because that's not generally what I do. But the only way that you can really, you know, bust out of some of those numbers is by trying new things and realizing that you really enjoy it and then creating future content around it. But I tell people numbers can be a guideline, or not a guideline, they can be a baseline that you can say, okay, this is where I am, and you know, things are a little bit low, maybe look and see and readjust how many subs you think will come in this month, bits, stuff like that, for your baseline of what you need to survive. But don't use that as your end all be all, because there's a lot of other factors that go into it. And I think for me, my big point here is plan of action. That's honestly my big point.
Agreed. Cypher, I know you're really excited to answer this question, so I'm gonna let you go next.
I realized once I realized and turned my mindset toward the analytics are a tool, just like social media is a tool. It does not reflect my self-worth as a streamer or creator. That these are a tool where I can go here, you know, I'll say Logitech, because I already work in Logitech. Hey Logitech, here's my numbers for the last 3 months. Here's my average for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I want to work with you, and learning how to present that data, because my day jobs previously and even now, I've had to learn to use data and numbers to make a point. And when I would do DEI consulting, of here are these numbers, here's what this means. You're leaving money on the table potentially by not working with someone, and you know, forget the here's what I can do for you, here's how we can be mutually beneficial. And also, if I'm not pursuing something, yeah, those analytics are there, but I am not super invested in it right now because I'm not seeking an opportunity. And for those of us that use our dashboard or maybe go to the dashboard, learning to tweak it so that your analytics are not the first thing hitting you in the face as soon as you go to your dashboard. Because if you had a not great stream or a lower stream, and that's the first thing you see the next time you go on your dashboard to make changes, it can tank your mood. And I know Thor and other people have mentioned turning off your view count and things like that, and just realizing those numbers are not a reflection of you and your value as a person or a creator. And I think that for me, that's been the biggest part of it, where, okay, so I only had 25 people today. 25 people is still a lot of people. That's like a classroom full of people that have come and hung out and watched me do whatever I'm doing, versus, oh, I got a raid, I got whatever, or I've got front page, or I have an event. And realistically, that many people could not fit in my apartment. This is more people than I could handle IRL being around. So, you know, that's really cool and that's great, but I'm also an introvert, and the idea of 100 people around me at any given time makes me want to cringe and have my soul leave my body. But you know, it's like, cool, I had a lot of great numbers. What does that mean for the end of the day? It doesn't change who I am. It doesn't change my personality. It doesn't make me a better or less person because I had 100 people versus 20 on a given day.
Yeah, no, I love that. And honestly, I don't even know how many people are watching us. I'm assuming it's like 10. Um, Ash, would you like to go next?
Sure. So I'm gonna be real with y'all. I look at the numbers every day, right? Like after my stream, part of my routine is to look at the channel analytics, look for my clips, blah 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 blah. Well, I'm gonna be real with you. I look at those numbers and I'm like, what does this mean? I don't know how to connect this data to action. Like it's like, oh, like a certain amount of people watched. Great, cool. It's like I just look at it and I'm like, great, cool, neat. Like all these people watched me today. That's awesome. And I honestly don't think about it past that because so much of what we do is out of our control, right? Like so much of what we do, like I think about like if I post a TikTok or if I post a tweet and it goes viral and a lot of people see it that one day, like that was totally outside of my control. Like I just got lucky and struck gold one day. And sometimes it hits because maybe you found a moment, or sometimes it hits because you just like it resonated with the right people at the right time. But I think that's the one thing that I would focus on is like I don't know who's in the room watching me when I watch. I don't know who's lurking. I don't know who's there. So the most important thing to me is to be entertaining at all times, like to just have fun and joke around and be myself or play games that I love and just like, whoever I connect with at that time connect with. But like there have been times when I'm sure like I'm performing and then somebody is there lurking and then they'll send me a message later on and be like, "Oh, I was lurking in your channel and I really loved what you did. Do you want to work with us on something?" Or like one time I was at a convention recently and I was just like I was just hanging out with somebody and there was a person like playing a game next to me and they were like, "Oh, you're Ash." And I was like, "Yo, nice to meet you. What's up?" And they were like, "I lurk in your channel every day. I never say a word. You don't even know my username, but I love your channel." And that I had like a deep emotional reaction to that, right? Because I was like, dag, like this person knows everything about my channel, never talks, but this is exactly what I'm trying to put out. Like they really love what they see. So you never know who's watching. Keep performing. Keep doing what you're doing. The numbers are there, as Cypher said, as a tool. Thor said it's a tool. And obviously, if something's going haywire, learn to address it, learn to move on, but understand, like everybody is saying, that it does not dictate your personal value. Just
Mhm.
know that there's like how many engineers out there can like accurately describe what happens or why the FYP happened to pick your video at that time. Like there's gonna be 1,000 people out there that are telling you, here's the road to growth, here's the road to
Mhm.
this, here's the road to that. And it's all opinions. Like nothing is set in like this is the actual formula for fact. So just keep doing stuff that you love and
Mhm.
eventually it'll hit with somebody and maybe you could use the numbers to determine like what worked and what didn't work, but just use it as a guideline like everybody else is saying and just keep doing the things that you love and people
Yeah.
will feel that. You gotta I think that's the thing to focus on is like how do I make people feel, the people that I'm connecting with, what is it that they remember and what is it that they're going to take with them past that moment.
Agreed. Totally agree. Thorlar, I know that you have a lot of great insights about this, especially when it
Oh, thank
comes
you.
down to the balance of comparison.
Yeah, that's unfortunately a very common thing, and it's like I like to say, and it's a common sentence, not just me. Comparison is the theft of all joy, and you shouldn't even compare yourself to yourself. Like that's something people often forget. It's like, sure, you had 100 viewers at one point, and now you have 50. You had 200, now you have 100. It's like, why are you competing with a past you that isn't there anymore, negatively impacting yourself? And the way I think about it, because I think you said the original question was like anxiety about the analytics. How do you feel about it? And I think Ash touched on a really good subject there. That for 99 out of 100, I would say you're gonna have a negative impact because the numbers don't work like they do in many other places. The salary goes up. That's a great thing. Your amount of fun friends you have, like that's usually a good thing. Numbers up is usually good. In content creation, it goes up and down, and that's good. That's normal. So some people will, just like Ash had, like you get motivated, you get excited, you notice like, oh look, there were so many people coming in, fun. So the recommendation is obviously do you. It might not help you, but also don't feel bad if it does. And at the end of the day, it's like I like to say, okay, you have one viewer. That viewer picked you over Markiplier, PewDiePie, all the movies and TV shows in the world, any game they could currently be playing and focus on, being at a concert, literally every other form of content in the world was not as good to them as your content is.
Mm-mm.
So it's so important to realize that that is way more important than thinking there should be 2 or 5 or 10, because you're the best content creator in someone's eyes, preferably yours. Also, I will say, like, be the best content creator in your eyes too. Be humble about it though. Like, obviously, don't brag. But it's just so important that you respect yourself enough to appreciate the ones who appreciate you, versus thinking that the right answer is that it needs to be higher. The right answer is it is what it is. And maybe you'll never get partnership. Maybe you'll not work with brands you think are really cool. But things will happen regardless of if you want it or not. So some sponsorships will happen because you pursued it. Others because they happen to discover you. And at the end of the day, it's like you always saying, like it's a tool where you can learn a little bit about what's going on. But is that a tool you need, or is it a tool that truly helps you? Because if it only negatively impacts you, starts making you compare yourself to yourself, to others and stuff, it's not a tool you should be utilizing. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm sorry, Ash's cat was distracting me for a second. I was like,
Sorry.
"Yay!"
She's the
Skip
star.
analytics, just look
I
at your
know
cat.
it already. She's the
I
star.
know. The analytics resolve around cats and dogs, let's be honest. Anyway, Ultra, let's finish this out with you.
Yeah, I actually really love this question because years ago I think I nearly quit streaming twice because of the numbers. The biggest thing, and a lot of you guys have all shared the same thoughts, is you can't let it be a reflection of your self-worth and you. And as Thorlar said, the numbers, they vary so much. They'll go up, they'll go down. I think the biggest way that I like thinking of viewership on Twitch sometimes is, for those of you who are familiar, they're like the points on whose line it is anyways. Sometimes it just doesn't matter. There's no sense or rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes they can be helpful in terms of, using it as a tool to try to figure out what you do with your stream, what you do next, what went well, what didn't go well. But from my experience, I like looking at the numbers just because, again, I don't see it as a reflection of me, but it tells me, okay, for the game that I'm playing right now, what is this saying about the game that I'm playing? Is it a hot commodity? Are people really wanting to come in and see this game? Are people getting bored of this game? Is this cooling down? Or even, sometimes when I'm so bad at ending stream and going to bed sometimes, but I'll look at the numbers and I go, you know what? That was a great stream. We're going to end at our usual time. Or I'll look at them and go, you know what? Things are going particularly well tonight. We're getting 3 hours of sleep before farming, but heck, let's keep going. And so I personally, I use it as a tool. I look at it, but I don't view it as I'm doing well or I'm not doing well. I change the perception of this is more a reflection of the game or whatever I'm streaming and the type of viewership that's bringing in. Because at the end of the day, you will have your core community. You will have your people who were going to be there no matter what game you play. But not everybody is going to like the same game that you're playing, and if something just came out, it's not going to have the same viewership day 1, 2, 3 than 3 weeks later necessarily. So I say if you can separate yourself from taking things personally as a reflection of yourself, it is a very useful tool.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. And I love that. I love that. I didn't know that you almost stopped streaming, so that was something I was not privy to. Wow.
Can I make one more point? One last thing?
Please.
Is that okay?
No.
I'm also just gonna. Oh, okay. Well,
I
I'm
was
sorry, everybody.
joking.
So
Do
this
it
is
in
my
the voice of
last.
Gollum.
Since we're on the topic of numbers, real quick, partner pushing. Don't do it. You'll burn yourself out. Please. I'm just gonna say that and
Yes.
say what everyone here has had in the background of the mind. Don't partner push.
I'm gonna
Please.
say one thing on that too. Really important. Some people go in like, please remove the raid thing from the tie. Like
It doesn't
URL
do
to
anything,
help
guys.
me. Doesn't do anything,
It
because
doesn't.
Switch will still see that. Oh,
Switch
look
will
at all
still
these raid
notice.
viewers. They
But
don't
Yes,
suddenly go,
removing
"Oh,
your
I
partner
guess
thing
what's
doesn't
wrong."
work.
But yeah, just to
You're telling people to work for you because before they even know your content. So yeah.
But just putting this out there, if you partner push, you're going to create artificial people coming to, you're going to create a situation where artificially people come to your channel as a way to boost you and then leave, and you're going to feel devastated afterwards. I did partner pushing once when I didn't really understand the downsides of it, and I almost burnt out, got to 74.9 and then plummeted because events out of my control. When I tell you that partner pushing is going to affect your mental health in brutal ways that you can't really know and really affect your want to go back to streaming, it
Mhm.
does. And I've seen it time and time and time again. And so if you have that person or you yourself are like, oh, should I partner push? No, no, no. Just saying.
I've literally actually given that suggestion to somebody who came up to me recently about that, and I was like, "Look, whatever I say, it's not going to change your opinion. I think that I know you want to get close and you're getting there, but I agree with you. It don't make people work for your stream."
Since
Switch
we
wants to
were on
see
the
that
topic
you're
of numbers,
emotionally and mentally prepared for partnership, and partner pushes tells them no, you're not. So
What-
that's also why it's not gonna help you.
you'll get to partner when you get to partner. There's a lot of things that Twitch looks at rather than just, oh, how much is your CCV? Like they're looking at a lot more things. And so stressing yourself out and stressing your community is only going to hurt you in the long run. Get there naturally, let it just occur, and you'll find that
Yeah.
your community will be a lot stronger as a result. And I'm going to tell you this, partners literally, being partnered does not change that much. So don't worry about putting that stress on your community because partner is not going to change your life. I promise.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Can I add
Um,
something
You're still
too?
the
Of
same
course,
wonderful
of
content
course.
creator
I
with
was
or
actually
without.
going to say, if you guys want to do any clothing statements, anything that you guys want to say and you want to make sure that people know before you head out, because I know we are about 5 minutes before I've told you guys it's been 2 hours, and I don't want to hold you guys. I could talk to you guys for the next 3 hours. I love this conversation so much, and I would love to continue having these kind of conversations with people. And that's ultimately the goal of this: is to keep having these conversations, keep talking about these things that are not talked about enough, in my opinion. So please, I had 6 more questions that I felt like we could have gone through, but like, again, please, yes, Ash, everybody say whatever you feel like you need to say, and anything that we either missed or any sort of statement that you really feel like people should know.
Sea turtles
Yeah,
cannot fart.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say, especially on the point of partner pushing, is that people will like there are people out there who will only show up for the hype and because that's exciting to them and it's what's exciting in the moment. And then once that moment is gone, it's like, all right, I'm done bookmarking this channel, and this person's already reached like their success. They don't need me to like support them anymore. Like that definitely is a thing. And it can be kind of tough, like Thor was saying, it could be devastating after the hype dies down. Like people are like, okay, this is like the channel is shifting, this is not the thing that I signed up for when I first got in here. So and one thing that I always ask people whenever they want advice about how to become partner or how to grow in their career is why. Why do you want it? What are you going to do with it? What is the long-term strategy in terms of what you're going to do with that platform once you reached a certain level? And a lot of times, I don't think people think about that. Like, they're just like, "Oh, well, I want to become partner because I want more people to watch me." And then that's the end of the sentiment. And it's like, yeah, but like that you gotta continue to work to continue to build, right? Like, it doesn't just stop because you've reached a certain point. Like, you have to continue to work to like continue to have people care about what you're doing. So I always ask people that. So I want everyone here, like, if that's something that you want to attain, think about why you want it and what you're
Mm-hmm.
going to do with it and what's the purpose of getting to that level. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with everyone.
No, I love that. And actually, I remember when I was partner pushing Drew, for those who don't know, Drew is my husband. Sorry, our husband. My community will kill me if I
You're
try to claim him.
sorry?
Well, my community says that it's a collective husband because Drew is so awesome. Anyway, so why are you bringing out the band hammer?
Because chat's taking Curly's husband. Wow.
Thor's like, Drew is my husband. Come on.
Fight me. I'm ready.
Anyway. He literally asked me the same question when I was going for partner, and he was like, "Why do you want partner?" So yeah, it's always good to have that person in the background asking you those questions. Yeah. So let's actually, if there's any closing statements that anybody wants to give, please let me know. Did anybody miss anything, or does anybody else want to say one more
I
last
guess I have
comment?
Sorry.
Why don't we start with
Thorlar.
Thorlar, and then we'll go to Cypher after that.
No, Cypher can go first.
Okay, Cypher, you can go first.
A couple things. One, use Creator Camp. There's a lot
Yes.
of really good resources on Creator Camp
Yes.
that are meant there for creators. And also, if you go to TwitchCon, there's always a track of Creator Camp content. Talk to the Twitch staff that are there when you get a chance to be face to face with them, because a lot of them also do create on Twitch themselves. There's a lot more people who started as streamers and now work for Twitch, and so they understand what you're going through on that side of it. Also, learn what parasocial relationships are, and learn that just because you're in a chat together does not mean you're friends, does not mean you know people, or you can joke with them like you actually know them. So, to break my own rule, I've done this panel a bit. I'm actually doing this again at TwitchCon with Thor and a few other people. We're talking about parasocial relationships as it relates to streaming. There's a lot of these panels and talks out online, and take this actually as a great resource specifically about streaming and content creation and parasocial, because we all like games, we all like streaming, does not mean we're a family, or that does not make us a community by default. People need to understand this, because people talk sideways to you because, oh, we're all in Curly's chat, we're all in Thor's chat. You're just a name on a screen to me. I do not know you. So as my mom used to say, go play with your little friends, don't play with me.
I love that. I'll admit, the first time I went to TwitchCon for the first time last year, and the number of people who came to me and said, "Oh my God, Curly!" I was like, "Hi." I had no idea who they were because I've never seen their face. Sorry, Thorlar, would you like to go on?
I feel like it might be a very like boring, stereotypical like closing words, but my closing words would just be: life is an adventure, and every path you choose not to take could be an adventure you wanted to be on. You never know what the person you meet is gonna be to you.
Mhm.
Like, I just found my wife accidentally on a site because we started talking about video games. We have the same favorite video games, so be open-minded, be like just on an adventure through life, and ask yourself what you want that adventure to be to you.
Agreed.
Honestly, just to close out for my statement, I'd honestly just say, do streaming because you enjoy it. Don't see it as just any other job. You have a chance to put yourself out there how you want to and find like-minded people that you can then create community around. And lastly, if you see something you like, ask. Ask how somebody did that. Ask and see if they're willing to share that information. Because, in my opinion, the best streamers may not be able to tell you exactly everything they've done, but they will be able to point you in the right direction. And those are the people that you should look towards on Twitch, because there's a lot of wonderful people out here. There's also a lot of people just trying to do their thing. And, uh, you know, yeah, I find that the genuine streamers are the ones that genuinely take the time out of their day to say, hey, okay, let me point you in the right direction. I may not have this time, but I can at least show you where to start.
Agreed. Ultra.
Just two quick short things. Number one, just touching base on getting partnered again. I feel like, again, people think it's like an end all be all. Once you get it, it's great. But in my eyes, once you get partnered, the game gets so much harder. It really begins, the stakes are higher. Goodness gracious, the pressure increases. And so don't go thinking once you get partnered, you can relax and it's over. It's a completely different ball game, and it just prepare yourself. And then additionally, just for everybody out there, just don't underestimate your worth and your value. And just for both streamers and viewers alike, for me personally, streaming has changed me as a person. I had crippling social anxiety before streaming, and now I can successfully walk into a room with 20 people and chat and be comfortable. So, just giving props to with streaming with all of you lovely people for providing the confidence and the just personal growth to us as streamers as we navigate life. Like, you guys all make a huge, huge difference, both inside of streaming and out. So those are my last thoughts.
Thank you. If you guys could all, in my chat, whatever emotes you have, just to show some appreciation, some claps, some love, some anything to these amazing 5 streamers who spent the last 2 hours talking and divulging all of this information that I took away so much just from this. This was so beautiful, so amazing. But I do also want to close out by giving shout outs, as well as I want all of you to let the people know in this chat where they can find you when you stream and all of that stuff. So if we could start with Ash, and we'll go alphabetically again.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Curly, for being an incredible moderator for this wonderful panel. I'm honored to share the stage with all of you. I look up to all of you. Y'all are great. My name is Ash Said Hi. I broadcast here on Twitch. I also upload all my VODs to YouTube. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads as well. And if you're going to TwitchCon, I will be either hosting or participating on 11 separate panels. So I will be there and excited to see you and excited to party with you and celebrate with you. So if you're going, please say hi. I love saying hi to everybody. And the one last thing I want to leave you with is make sure to send the elevator back down and, help others elevate their space along, with elevating your own space. So thanks, Curly, for having me.
Thank you. Cypher.
Hey, I'm Cypher. I do a lot of variety. I do mini painting, dice making, gaming, and on occasion just chatting. And might be on later. I will be at TwitchCon doing 1 panel, not 11, like Ash. Ash is doing my PAX numbers. Because I'm like, Ash, I'm going to find you and just keep handing you water and snacks. That's what I'm going to do. And then
as we pass by, we just all give her snacks.
Right. And if you're going to be at PAX West, I will be there next week. I'm doing 4 panels. I tweeted that out, put it on Instagram. And I just do a lot of things online. I'm also very grumpy, and I'm an old lady, and I have no patience. So, like I said, I was channeling my mother when I said, go play with your friends now.
All right, let's move over Thorlar.
All right, alphabetically. I think it's a formatting under being
Yes, L goes before M. Fun fact.
Tholar, him Octopus, here on Twitch, and I don't really do much otherwise on the other platforms. I do shit post, quite frankly, on TikTok, just like random stuff, and Twitter. It's like I don't really have an invested interest in growing anything anywhere. So it's just Twitch is where you'll find me the most, but you can also see me elsewhere.
Awesome. Thormengender.
Man, I'm surprised that you didn't introduce Thorlar as Gollum, considering the poll earlier.
I'm so sorry. Smeagol, go ahead.
Hi there, everybody. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, whatever I gave Curly to put in the chat. I can't remember, but it's on there. Just go follow those links. YouTube,
You gave me
TikTok,
Throne
Twitter.
too.
I just grabbed it from my list of links, just like, here's everything. And if you do want to get something for the stream, great. But you can find me on Twitch. I play video games like Elden Ring, Hollow Knight, Dark Souls, and many others on alternative controllers such as steering wheels, Donkey Kong bongos, DDR pads. We're actually going through Hollow Knight right now on Donkey
is
Kong
awesome.
bongos.
Oh my god,
And
that
we're
was
getting
so
ready
much fun
for our
last night.
Pantheon. So if you want to stop on by, we'll be live on Tuesday at 4 p.m. But
Awesome.
yeah, just keep being awesome. Do the content you love to see, and there you go. That's me.
Ultra, let's finish out with you.
Yeah, for sure. So in chat will be my socials if you guys want to follow any of those, but I pretty much just stream on Twitch. I don't have a schedule. So if you'd like to catch me live, I'd recommend having the notifications on. I stream in the evenings for North America time, random days of the week. But I will be at honestly, I will be at TwitchCon San Diego. So if you guys see me, feel free to come by and say hi. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you lovely streamers who will be there, as well as viewers. But yeah, thank you so much for having us here today.
Thank you, and thank you all. I really appreciate it. This has been an amazing panel, and I really do hope people got something out of it, and that people continue to have these kind of conversations more and more, and people get more comfortable with it. So thank you all seriously for your time, as I am nervously twiddling pens because I have ADHD. Anyway, thank you. Thank you guys seriously so much. This was an amazing panel. I loved every minute, and thank you for your time. I'm gonna sign you guys off here. We on my stream we are going to continue playing a little bit more Wukong. I'm gonna take like a 15-minute break. But I really want to thank you guys all for being here. And thank you, Ash. Thank you, Cypher. Thank you, Thorlar. Thank you, Thormengender, and thank you, Ultra. You guys are wonderful. And please check out these streamers. Go do it. Go check them out right now.
For the wonderful panel.
Thank you guys.
My precious.
All right, I'm hanging up. Bye.
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 Bye.